Now, I'm going to present to you just real quickly, again, because I don't want to belabor lots of HTML5. This is not an HTML5 workshop, but I want to present to you several APIs that exist in HTML5, but I'm going to do so in a different way than maybe you're used to seeing, because I'm not actually going to show you the native APIs. What I'm going to show you is code that's using what I call API facades. Now, I have an entire talk on this particular topic if this is at all interesting to you. I'll give you like the 2-minute blurb on what a facade is and why it's important. A facade is an extremely thin layer of abstraction around a native API. It is not a polyfill. It does not put functionality into an environment where that functionality does not already exist. It does not add new functionality on top of the existing APIs, for the most part. It is not terribly concerned with lots of bug fixes and things. The main goal of a facade, the main goal of this thin wrapper API is for you to have a thin layer of insulation between the code that you write across your production application and the actual APIs that sometimes develop bugs in them. Sometimes they change. Sometimes they move from not being vendor prefixed to being vendor prefixed, or the other way around. Sometimes quirks occur. And if you have production code that is using the direct native APIs all over the place, say for instance the Canvas API or the local storage API, if you're using those APIs directly and one of the environments that you're supporting your production app in changes something about it, like a bug is introduced. I don't remember the exact details, but I remember a few months ago there was some change that happened with Safari and their number of concurrent AJAX requests or something. And all of a sudden, production apps just have to start dealing with a change to the environment that they used to be able to run in. So when those things occur, if you've been using the native APIs directly across your whole code base, you've got a whole bunch of places to go and fix it. But if you've been using a facade, the facade is a place, it's sort of a pressure release valve, or it's an insulation layer that allows you to fix that problem or fix that bug or whatever, that quirk, in one location rather than having to invalidate the code across your entire app. So facades are an incredibly important thing to be using. If you're using these native APIs directly, I encourage you to rethink that choice. Use some sort of facade, use some sort of... Frameworks are just a more complex version of a facade. Frameworks add all kinds of extra stuff into it, and they add in polyfills. And if you're using a framework around Canvas, like if you're using D3 or whatever, great, no problem. I'm not going to complain about your use of a framework. But if you're using the Canvas API directly anywhere, you should either be using a facade or a framework rather than the direct API. So that's my little 2-minute spiel on that. And what I'm going to show you is several of these APIs using a facade, using facade APIs that I have built. There's a project that I built called H5. And the goal of that was sort of a community-driven thing. It really hasn't gotten as much attention as I had hoped it would. But the goal was for us as a community to collectively build facade APIs for all of the built-in HTML5 APIs that are available. Everything from local storage to WebRTC to WebSockets, everything. I wanted us to build facades for that so that we could responsibly use these features now, but insulate ourselves in case there are problems or changes or bugs down the road. And we've probably gotten 5 or 6 of those facades written, so I'm going to show you some of those today. But if you go and check out, the project is H with the number 5. H5 is the project name. And if you go and check out H5 on the GitHub repo, you'll see there's 20 or 30 other APIs already identified that we need to write that haven't been written yet. So if you'd like to help, I would love that. And I've got a contribution guide there on how to help participate in that. It's pretty easy stuff. But I'm going to show you some of the facades for the APIs that I already use that I've built.